Hello everyone, and welcome to another Siege and Sandfox livestream. I'm the designer on the project, Chris Wilson, and today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. As part of my job, what I like to do is spend time looking at other games and sort of trying to deconstruct the design, see what works, what doesn't. In general, it's a good thing to sort of practice, but obviously at the moment, with us working on a game, it's always good to keep your eye on and see what's going on. So today I am going to reconnect my controller because it's been turned off for a while. Come on, controller, wake up. There we go. And hop over to this one. Okay, that seems fine. Sorry guys, just a different setup to normal. And then I'm going to go over here and turn this on. Right, there we go. So yeah, we're going to play Dead Cells. Deliberately, I'm going in pretty much blind. I've played 5-10 minutes during the time in early access. This is a couple of things we wanted to look at more from the art side. So from the design side, I'm going in basically completely blind, never really played it before. So what I'm going to be looking for mostly is what the initial experience is like, the method it uses for teaching you things, and just, you know, generally see how I get on with it. So I'm aware there's a streaming mode. I'm actually not going to use it in this instance because I want it to be as sort of pure as possible, what I imagine a normal player would encounter. So the thing I noticed when I looked at this last time is because of the nature of the game, obviously it's an action-based game. The time of like the intro cutscene to you actually having control is incredibly short, so it's a handful of seconds, and there's already some sort of character and humor with this little Dead Cells there, which, you know, I really like. So the other thing I want to look for is how quickly they're going to try and teach you new stuff. So let me just turn down the volume here a little bit. There you go. Sorry. So you can see in this room already, so that, you know, obviously you're going to move, everyone's going to try and wiggle the stick pretty much straight away. But beyond that, well, we have to kind of see. So it told me that I can jump. So I should, oh yeah, so this is that thing Ollie's saying, it's a big stab skeleton. I'm not even exaggerating. With my design brain on, I literally didn't even notice that. I'm so fixated on the character and sort of what's in the scene. You'll notice that the camera doesn't really stick to that either. It's trying to lead you over in this direction. And again, in terms of where your eyes are going to be fixated, it's looking straight above the character, so it's telling you about the weapons and jumping. So it told me about jumping, and because I jumped, it's not going to show me that again. But now it will show me the weapon. And what I like here is that you can open this door. Can you close doors? No, you can't, I don't think. Oh, they close themselves. Okay, well, I learned something new. I wasn't turning it down in there, Ollie, so I'll just turn it down a bit more. There we go. Right. So, yeah, so they have a bunch of context stuff, which is cool. So you notice that it told me to jump, and as soon as I jumped, it stopped telling me that, and then it told me about this door, and also you can see it's telling me about this as well, and that seemed like it only appeared after a little delay, which is, yeah, it's nice. And I like the thing with the door, so you had the option of opening it or you could smash it, so you might not find both of those things straight away. So already you have to know how to jump, and then see, you have to know how to double jump. So this is what, you know, okay, someone's talking to me now. They do get a lot of character out of someone who has no head. It's good. So I'll be honest, I'm not going to read the dialogue too strongly, and I can see they have a skip button, so I'm going to see what that does. Okay. So yeah, again, looking at this from a design perspective is that, so if you're here, then you know how to jump. There's no other way to get out of this room other than jumping. And here, there's no other way to get out of here other than double jumping. So the designers can be sure that you know how to do these, because otherwise it would be impossible to get through. So Edgy Cox saying, I'm not a huge fan of roguelike games. I like the combat gameplay mechanics, but being pushed back to square one after every death fatigued me. I like to make some progress even when I die. I generally feel that way, but I think the thing is, I'll be honest, I would probably never complete a game like this because, yeah, eventually that wears me down, but I don't think it stops me, like, you know, playing them. And also I think, yeah, in terms of like looking at this initial experience, I'm not too worried. Oh, that should be hidden. The mouse cursor isn't hidden. Does that work? Yeah, okay. Sorry, OBS normally hides the mouse cursor, but obviously not in this mode that I'm in. It's not the Unreal editor, imagine that. Okay, so the way they tend to do the tooltips in this is, I think, pretty much, you know, well, it's not actually the standard way. Lots of people do weird things with them. I think most of the time you do want them to just appear in proximity to the object and be like right next to it. So with this, when it's not critical dialogue, yeah, you're not even held, right? So you can just mash all the buttons and that's fine. And then, so I'm thinking we're like 1.5 rooms in. You're showing some options. So there's an old wooden shield. And this is one of those things where, like, obviously I have some idea how a shield works, and I have some idea how a bow works, and I'll be honest, I'm less interested in the shield, so I'm going to take the bow. Fine. And you see that whips down to the bottom left into the old HUD down there, which unfortunately I'm partially hiding, but that should be fine. I think you can still see it enough. Yeah. So, yeah, I can see all that stuff glows and everything, and I can see there's the buttons literally on it, so I know that X does that, and Y is going to do that. Cool. That's all I want to understand about that for now. Oh, I see. The bows actually, the arrows rather come back. Huh, that's really cool. Okay. So, yeah, I use another door. So obviously the other thing is, I at this point definitely know how doors work. There's no way I couldn't. I might know that I can destroy them, but I won't necessarily know that. So the Money Pixel says, I asked and they designed the main character in 3ds Max and just added pixel design and did the backgrounds in Photoshop. Yeah, I seem to recall that, yeah, they used, you know, there's a 3D part of the process. I think you're certainly oversimplifying it, right? It makes it sound like it's easy. It sounds like I could do it, which is definitely not true. But okay, so I'm thinking about what I've been taught. I know how to jump. Sorry, I must know how to jump. I must know how to double jump. I know that I can talk to people, and I know that I can open doors, and I might know that I can smash them. So the interesting thing with this is, I noticed this before, is you've got this thing that, from my amazing 5-minute experience of testing it out earlier, know that this is a teleporter, but at the moment it doesn't do anything because right, so I can try and use it, but it doesn't prompt the use because it would rather I didn't use it at this point. But obviously it had the big flashy animation, so they expect you to notice it, which is cool. So it's like, hey, remember this, it'll be of use later. And then I'm just seeing, can I do this? Yeah, I can do that. Oops. Okay. So, hey, you know what? I didn't know I could be stunned. Now I do. I was just being difficult because I expect most people will try this, which is a pretty straightforward ladder thing. So you notice that when I got hit, it shows the dodge, and I wonder if that stays around forever. It probably stays around for a long time until I actually dodge, which is fine. So some sweet button mashing action. That's fine. So Educock saying, yeah, I think there's definitely more character and personality to the NPC characters who are hand animated rather than the player and enemies who are running at 60 FPS. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's pretty clear, even to me with my non-art brain, that they've very strongly prioritized responsiveness over anything. And obviously for a more action-orientated game, you know, that's just what you got to do. You know, it feels good. I'm not going to complain about that. Right, so what else have I noticed? I mean, not too much else yet. So it's obviously introduced some enemies, and it introduced the that stun state, which actually, just me being me, I'm going to see if that's every time. Oops. Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah, so that is every time. So that's good to know. But again, that wasn't something that was enforced. It's something I might learn later. It's not necessarily something I'd learn then. Oops. Okay, so just getting the hang of the dodge is kind of, compared to obviously the responsiveness of the other stuff, there's definitely a window that you dodge in. That feels nice. And it always feels nice in any game, even if it looks a bit weird, when you've got all these little you know, bits that roll around like reactor physics. It's always nice. So in terms of my path so far, I'm one of these players who basically never notices maps, so I've basically just noticed that map on the bottom right. But obviously if I look at what's available in terms of the level design right now, there is no other way for me to go. I don't know when it starts being procedural and stuff and when it doesn't, but this is obviously, you know, I don't have any options, or I don't see there to be any options. Again, like, I've deliberately gone in blind, so I could be wrong. Oh wow, okay. So you can really blend into the the ladders. That's pretty cool. So you can blend straight from roll into the ladder, right? I think, if I did that correctly. Yeah, no, that's cool. Okay, so again, not something I would definitely know, but something I could probably learn. And I like the way that the enemies have the same indicator for being stunned that you do, so there's a consistency between the two. So, you know, if you've never been stunned and the first time you are, you would know that, or the other way around as it happened for me. Okay, so Keith Lamtatak is talking about the art process. So they did a deep dive on their process over in Gamasutra. They animated Max and then had the keyframes rendered out to flipbooks. Then they interpolate between the frames to give it a smooth 60 FPS look. And then there's a link to that in the chat. Okay, yeah, so I can dodge through stuff, which is cool. And other than that, I'm not doing anything too sophisticated. So what, we've encountered like a couple of enemy types, so it looks like 2 or 3 enemy types. Okay, so again, the thing I'm more focused on, unsurprisingly, the level design stuff. So we got shown that teleporter thing at the start. There it is, I'm going to go up to it. And the first time we saw it, it didn't do anything, but it did a sort of intro animation, so it's designed to be memorable. So there's no way you can miss that one, and it looks like on the map there's no way you can miss this one. So we still can't be sure that the player used it, but we can be fairly, well, we know they will have seen 2 of them, and you know, notice this time now there's actually teleport destinations. It prompts you for it, presumably every time. Yeah, so you know, that's nicely handled. You can ground slam. If you press A and down, then you slam down. Oh yeah, yeah. So this is obviously a game. Well, again, deliberately, I don't know. This feels like a game where there is a high skill ceiling. So I totally don't mind that there are things that are not explicitly tutorialized. I like that there's, you know, areas where things can be quite, you know, they enforce the basics that you need to navigate the world, and then it looks like there's a bunch of other stuff, you know, you can pick up different ways. So infantry grenade 1 inflicts 55 damage, inflicts moderate damage. Okay, and I presume what the 5.8 is the time. I can see what that goes. Can I? Oh, I see. So am I cooking it? No. Oh, I see. That's the cooldown time. I understand. Okay, so this is like the first time I've noticed there's a few options. So there's a thing under the teleporter there. And I can go over here. And then presumably I can double jump. Get up there. Okay, another teleporter. Cool. So yeah, they're just doubling down on that. Some sweet bats. Ha, cool. So this is something we go back and forth with in our game, actually. So you notice they've got camera target stuff. So as I come over here, if I try and do it slowly, I do it. Okay, yeah. So they have a very pronounced camera target and change your zoom level. Now, obviously, they play kind of fast and loose with their pixel scales, which is fine. And if I focus on it purely in terms of like design, it does the job, right? It makes this look really impressive. It's literally centering the frame, like it pulls away from the character. So you know that it's important. Even before its lovely animation and everything, you know that this is a big deal. Cool. Okay. I'm going to take that. Ha! Cool. Okay. So that's a dead end, I presume. Let's go back this way. Check the moving arrow on the tooltips box next time you get one. I will look for that. And Keith is asking if we should... Ha, that's cool. So you can slam down the chains. Oh, that's nice. So again, that, you know, not explicitly tutorialized, but something I figured out. Huh, nice. Yeah. So the zoom in, I know you're sorry. Keith's talking about like if we should do the zoom in our game stuff. I wonder if it still does it. I'm interested to see actually. It doesn't. Right. Well, so there's a good example of why those kind of things are useful, right? Because obviously when we look at the chest, we can tell that it doesn't do anything, but that's being reinforced by the fact that there's no camera target anymore. It doesn't zoom in. It doesn't pull over to it. So I feel like even on a subconscious level, you just know that it's not important. As for if we should do that kind of zoom stuff, honestly, I'm not sure. It does the job, but I feel like, you know, we've got a very particular aesthetic where they're much happier to have a a mixed aesthetic. But you know what? I'm not an artist, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. I'm just going to focus on their design stuff. But it looks like Keith is being convinced. Pay the tribute or turn back. Okay, so this is the first time I've even noticed I have money, because I'll be honest, I'm one of those people, anything on the edge of the screen, I just don't look at it, like, unless I'm forced to. So now I know that I have money, and I know that I don't have enough money. So okay, I mean, that gives me a sort of, you know, short-term goal, because there's a thing. I don't know what the thing is, but I want the thing. Oh no. Well, that's cool. I like that. So, that's interesting. So what, if I take that, it's going to be bad now? Okay, I don't want any of that stuff now. I just wanted to see what would happen. And again, if you notice, so areas like this, you've got a camera target. Like when we're here, I haven't actually, I was going to draw an overlay, but I didn't have time. So it's pretty much dead in the center, I would say now. But then we go over here, it pulls like up above to frame this room nicely, which is cool. And I get the feeling that with this game, probably also pulling the camera around like that probably indicates a lot of the time that the area is, you know, is not jammed full of enemies. But hey, I could be wrong. Can I break closed, open doors? I cannot. Okay, right. So I'm curious, like, does this mean it's going to kill me? No. Okay, well, I'll be honest. I don't quite know what it's going to do. Well, let's find out. Oops. Oh no. I lost 2 cells. Now I know. So Keith was saying like the curse is breaking the door. I know that, but it wasn't immediately clear to me what being cursed did. But maybe it meant that I died very easily. I don't know. I'll be honest. I wasn't fully paying attention. Well, I was paying attention, but to other things. Okay, so. Right, so that's what it was. If I'm hit once when I'm cursed, I die. That's a cool little thing. I like the way that it let me make my own life much more difficult. Can I attack from the ladder? Yeah, I can, sort of. Okay, so I don't know what this is, but it looks like a bunch of gold. Gold. It told you have 10 kills to not get hit in this death. Yeah, I don't really read in games like this, especially when I'm also trying to talk about other stuff, I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know. If I was left complete to my devices, would I read it? I probably still wouldn't. It's more fun to find out that way. Okay, so it seems like even the design, like even like right at the very start here, does change. Okay, pretty cool. But I like these things. I don't want it. Yeah, so I know that I had to kill 10 enemies. I saw that. I didn't know that I would die in one hit. Delicious drumstick. Okay, so I might have a look at the map and just see. Okay. So, prisoners' quarters. The prison is directly connected to the outer yard. The prisoners can choose between the rats and the crows. Good to know. So yeah, these always seem like to be major things, and they do a good job of setting up the the drama of them, this whole little audio cues, and again we talked about the camera stuff before, but that's really cool. I like it. So let's see how I get with this weapon. The dodge is pretty cool. You can, you can cancel into it from lots of different things, which is very applicable. It makes a lot of sense in this kind of game, but I keep kind of forgetting because obviously in our game it's not something we do. Oh, that's cool. Right. So there's another one of these. So yeah, it seems like their items are broken down pretty simply to these 3 colors, which seems to make sense. And at the moment, I'm pretty cool with this, so yeah, do that. Okay, you can't attack arc with this. That kind of makes sense. Oh, you can actually dodge straight out of the ladder, can you? Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's very nice. Okay, so now I kind of got the hang of that. I'm actually trying to think about where I'm supposed to be going. And because of the nature of these kind of games, I'm just going to presume that I'm just going to explore what I can't see on the map and try not to die. Okay, so the shop. Again, this all looks like a thing that's all set together. Oh, you do get so I noticed before you do have like some very limited look control, like manual with the right stick, but it feels very drunken, and at this point it doesn't really seem necessary. But hey, everyone plays for these things differently. I tend not to use them that much, even when they're good. Okay, well, this looks like a new exciting place. I see. Okay. Right. Wow. Super exciting object, I know. So again, are these oh really? Okay. So they want to enforce you using all of your cells. Okay. I guess. So that's interesting. It's not immediately obvious why that is. I can understand why they want you to spend some to make sure you understand that you can, but hey, maybe it's just not obvious to me. Okay, so I can do this apparently. Okay. Oh, that's cool. I like the way they have this thing where so you can kind of use them functionally for the mutations, or if you hold it, you can talk to them. And the thing is, presumably, most of the time you don't want to talk to them. Like the primary action is the one you're going to want most of the time, so that's the most responsive one, which is a nice way to do it. I think we probably got some opportunities for that. I also like the way they let you know pretty much straight away that the holding is going to do something, because you get those concentric circles. So again, like why this game, well, one of many reasons this game feels so responsive is even things like that do have a kind of cooldown. You still got some instant visual response to it. Ah, I see. They are you. Someone says, I think they want you to spend your cells, because if you die, you lose them. So spend them all or lose them all. Okay. Yeah, that could make sense. I'm always interested with stuff like that, where it's to me, like if you're making it explicit that you have to do a thing, I would expect it to be more obvious. But I also know that with these kind of games, like half the fun is figuring all the systems out. So it's not, it's not a criticism. It's just pondering. Ah, that's cool. I just randomly used it. I'll be honest, wasn't paying attention. Smashing doors is much more fun. So I like these little transitions. So you get a little bit of text to read like that and stuff, but it's nice. Again, it does add some sort of pacing and drama, even though it's quite minor. And I'm aware, obviously, it's actually going to mask a bit of loading. Having these opening and closing doors on each side is you know, it's nice. It makes you feel like you've been somewhere, which obviously you have. So can I get back up there? Not right now. The interesting thing is I jumped over this. Did I even need to? No, I didn't. Okay. I just find it's one of those reflexes that you just want to jump over things like that. Also noticing the jump as well, so I think is there... You might get a little bit more when you hold it down, you might not. Okay, so they do have spikes, which is probably a good idea. You know what? For science. Okay, so they hurt you and they stun you a bit. Good to know. So it's making pretty sure you know about these, huh? So Money Pixel says, true, yeah, I watched a bunch of streams before I played, so I had some advanced knowledge. Yeah, and I think, to be honest, that's kind of a built-in expectation, especially for a game like this that's been through early access, and I have no issue with that. I think it's quite an interesting way of doing things, but I think, there's always got to be this baseline of, in theory, this could be nearly the first game I've ever played. Not quite the first game. I think they're quite clear about what their audience is, but it could be one of the first I've played of a particular genre. So I think they're doing, a great job of onboarding people who haven't done that stuff. Those things aren't. It's not essential at this stage that I understand all the intricacies. Gives me some mystery for later. Okay, so I can see that I do actually have two paths now. Okay. So again, even with stuff like that, compared to some of the examples we've got, like, the response is just instant. So, they trade a nice, flowery animation for it just goes. And both are valid. So I'm going to stop messing with it now. Does it work one way? Oh, I see. Okay. If I step off it. Away again. Okay. I'm aware that most normal human beings don't use switches this way, but I do. So you would... Right. Oh, okay. So I can tell by where the user appears, obviously, they actually use the thing itself. In fact, is that what's happening both times? What does this do? I thought I knew what that did, but now I don't. So I thought that was like some kind of, pressure switch for the lift, but actually it's not. Maybe this will explain it. Okay. Oh, so you're saying if it's not there. Okay. I see. So that's... Okay. Yeah. Interesting. The only thing is for me is like, and again, this is just, how I would do it, not like that this is wrong. And I'm just going to check this is the case. Is that it doesn't make a different noise or any different effect when it is or isn't doing anything. So like this noise and this effect is identical. So like it wasn't clear to me immediately if it was doing something somewhere else or it wasn't doing something. And particularly obviously, the initial setup here that because of the radius of that lift, it's like, oh, these seem related. But minor stuff, there's no way to solve all of these. It's just interesting to see how people go about doing them. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I would be confused forever by it. I'm just like, okay, well, I would have expected an extra layer of feedback on it, but, it wouldn't take that long to figure out if I wasn't trying to analyze it so intently. Yeah, it's like, so Keith is saying, like, yeah, you want this button to have a doesn't do anything right now type thing. I mean, in my head, I'd expect like a kind of hollow thunk compared to the meteor thunk. I'm not an audio guy, but yeah, just just one of those little things. It's not a, I don't know. This guy, that guy up there looks dangerous. He might not be that dangerous, but I must admit, I've got so used to our game, the double jump in this is a bit confusing. But that's, you know, that's my problem, not the game's. It has nothing to do with that at all. So again, you've got some context prompts and stuff when I should heal, which is nice to have because if I already know that, I can safely ignore it. And in this case, I didn't. Like, guess remember that thing where I said I don't look at stuff at the extremes of the screen, so I wouldn't have noticed that. So can I get... There you go. Oh, this weapon is kind of slow for this guy. Right, okay, so that looks fun. So I presumably have to take that back to the dude later, but I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so with what I have, I can't get up there, which is fine. I can't get over here. And before I do that, because it's just the kind of person I am, can I get up here? Yeah. But it doesn't immediately look like I can get there. And I'm not going to bore anyone by rubbing up against it. But stuff like that is always nice. Because, you know, that's something that if I was a particular kind of player, I could spend some time trying to work out how to get there. Oh, the crows are nice as well. But anyway, yeah, no, so it's clear to me, like, you know, the general path I should take, but there's also, like, a little mystery of how to work that out. Ed saying, looks like you're trying to wall jump quite a lot. Wrong game. Yeah, sometimes. Not always. Sometimes I'm just forgetting, like, how short the first jump is. But, yeah, guilty. Oh, hello. I didn't know that could happen until right now. Yeah, that's not useful with a really slow weapon. But that's fine. You're supposed to die a lot, right? Okay. I love this, by the way. These physics objects are so cool. And the mouse cursor's crept back into my screen. Sneaky mouse cursor. Get out of here. There we go. Right. Can I get this? Oh, I see. That's the one I've done. Yeah. So that's nice. I wonder if you do literally fill them all. Even if you don't, it's nice to show you, like, because this is something that will entice you to keep playing, because you'll look at this and go, okay, well, I can see I've got this thing and how much further it can go. You know, one of the main things for getting people to keep playing games, especially getting through tutorials and learning stuff, is providing them with, like, a good motivation that isn't just, you'll get into the next room. And this is a good example of that, so that's cool. Right, is this dead again? Yeah, I sure am. Oops, wrong button. Okay, I don't want to do anything with him right now, but cool. Yeah, so Keith is saying, on a side, I really like the sound for people talking. Yeah, it's a good sound. It's like, it's not too repetitive, which is, I find, the problem. Like with so many of them, they're just so repetitive, or they're so obnoxiously high in the mix that they just drive you absolutely crazy. Okay, oh yeah, just checking. So it does, like, fully reset each time. Fine. So yeah, you can see that even this start bit is procedurally generated. I don't know, like, if maybe the first time the first bit is maybe seeded. I think even if it wasn't, you could probably enforce those first couple of moves. But hey, I understand the concept. Ooh, oops. Okay, so let's try and get back to where I was before, roughly. I love this, by the way. I think it's something we definitely need as well. Like things that don't really do anything of functional use, but it's just fun. I think our example is definitely going to be petting rats, because why not? It's a cool sound effect as well. Nice little squishy noise. Anyway. Ed said he never worked out what the tickling did. I'll be honest, like I assumed it didn't do anything, but you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. I just thought it was a fun thing. The first rule unlocks it. It's the first progression blocker. Oh my god! Spoilers. I want to know that. You ruined it for everyone. Okay, so this time, I like this. It's actually, now I understand this. Yes, I could have read it, but who's got time for reading? So actually, this is something I would very much like to find, equivalents for in our game. You've got the choice of like, you can spend the money, but if you reckon you're good enough, you don't have to spend the money because you'll be able to do all the combat stuff. And I think we have some opportunities for that kind of thing. But yeah, I do think that's very cool. To kind of say, if you think you're good enough, then you don't need to do this. Do I want that? Nah. No, I don't want it. Okay. So everything is too expensive because I lost all my money. Yes, makes sense. Yeah, no, it all flows together very nicely, even with the basic stuff here. And I've been introduced to the main sort of things that are going to get me through the early stages pretty quickly. It's all pretty straightforward. And it seems to be gradually introducing new enemies, which is cool. Delicious money. So I'm presuming that mechanically, like, the water's going to make a difference. I presume it makes me slower. I wondered if it would stop me from sliding at all, but it doesn't. It just seems like it's a bit slower. So something to keep an eye on. Ooh. So let's see if I can get out of here and back into that area where I was so mercilessly killed. Oops. Keep saying if you freeze, it stuns back goes to place. Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. If I had a thing to do that. Let's have a look at the map again. I can have a little think about this map actually while we're here. Okay, so set zoom levels? No, it's like free zooming. And focus on what? Me? Okay. And that's it, huh? It's pretty basic, but I think there's a couple of things to learn. Is that one, obviously if it's procedurally generated, it really hampers your options for how much detail you can put into it. And two, like, can I tell where I am? Can I tell where stuff is? Then I'm probably not that upset. You find a lot of games try and have really fancy maps, and it just makes them less readable, and actually then makes them, more obnoxious because it takes so long to find the information you want. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I guess. I'm just gonna check. Do I have to spend them? Okay, I do have to spend them. I must admit I'm stupid and I can't work out why it's like essential that I spend them, but fine. So why not reserve a little money? So yeah, what does this do? Transforms items found on the ground into treasure chest into gold. Oh, well, that sounds fun. That'll be a long-term thing. I'll take that. Okay. I do this again. I see they're quite expensive. Fine, okay, I'll do that. This is free. I assume this is free. Nice. I wonder if there's any reason you'd ever want to open doors rather than just smash them every time. It's not like it's a stealth game. So yeah, Ed's saying like, oh, I must admit, I thought you might better hold on to those cells and risk it. But yeah, it forces you not to, which it feels like, because obviously, you know, I'm just getting into the game. Obviously do not understand the complexities. Maybe there's some way it can be abused or it affects some other design, you know, philosophy that isn't immediately obvious to me. But yeah, I thought it'd be cool to just risk them. Okay, so this is, I know the other bits have been different, but this is notably different. There's you know, something, oops, didn't expect to stick to that. So there's a new, I see rotatey pixel things. They still look a bit weird to me, but I'm not an artist. So keep saying, or maybe they have a multiplicative. Oh, you mean they could stack, like Lords of the Fallen did? Yeah, maybe. I'm not upset about it. I'm just one of those things. It's just I'm curious. So can I stun him? Yes. And then, oops. Okay. So already, like these enemies I've encountered, we got a lot of the basic ones, but you're starting to get ones where they have very, you know, very different behaviors. Like it looks like these things, the flying things. Oops. Actually kind of try and get away from you, whereas other things come towards you. So you're starting to set up this kind of, you know, you've got this combat arena with different orthogonal elements coming together. So target selection, you know, becomes more important. Whereas to start with, you know, there was a bunch of lumbering enemies. You can just kind of plow into them, which is fun. And because obviously you can move quite fast in this game. Oops, it's difficult to talk and do at the same time. You have a lot of stuff which forces you to move around. Will they come down? Just checking. No, they won't. Okay. The smash. There we go. Oh, that's very nice. That's the A and down. Keep forgetting about it. Oops. I'm not used to the short distance of this weapon compared to the one I had before, but that's cool. Right, okay, so I got a certain distance over here before I was killed. Let's see if I can get a bit further. See, there's just no point in opening doors. I suppose maybe you can trap things behind them or something. Also, something else I noticed is the way you can just dodge fluidly under these things, which is cool. I like that a lot. Forgot he could teleport again. But yeah, you're already starting to get a feel for how, you know, fast and loose this game will play with stuff like that. So, you know, I just did that almost instinctively, and it just worked, which was cool. Ooh, okay, looks like I'm gonna have to kill that thing first. And I can make it bleed even though it's a robot. Don't worry about it. Not a robot, a wooden thing. Okay, well that was an introduction to a new mechanic, so I understand that that can be a thing now. Always go for more damage, even though I shouldn't. So I haven't quite figured out that guy's tell for his teleport, or if he's got a kind of cooldown on it. Doesn't look like it, does it? Not immediately obvious anyway. Oh no. No healy things. I might just keep going. Oh yeah, and keep saying, so it's got the cine bars, like the cinema top and bottom bars, but the wider aspect ratio. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I think, even though I know it's kind of silly, like it's like it doesn't it's just one of those things. It's a language that people understand. Like when they see that, it's associated with cinema, obviously, and they're just kind of expecting a certain level of epic event to happen. And also, it's become in video games, particularly, it's kind of shorthand for, you know, non-interactive cutscene. It just kind of works. And Ollie is annoyed because apparently he already said that. I don't know. Okay, so I can unlock this. Okay. Well, fair enough. I need a key. And they couldn't make those padlocks and lock things any more obvious if they tried. Interesting that we hadn't thought that actually, rather than putting them on the door, put them on the wall. But I think actually we have a solution that works for us, but hey, that works too. So I might have a look here. I might go back. Can I go... Am I allowed back into this place, or is it one way? I don't know. Oops. I forgot about those. Oopsie. Butterfingers. Yeah, I must admit, from playing an RR game, which is obviously completely different, adjusting to any other game's air control is always challenging, especially in front of an audience. So I get my money back because of the upgrade. That's nice. Got some water down here. Does it do anything? Nope, it's just water. Okay, right. Let's have another go, shall we? So I always get this starter gear. So what does this mean? I can't open it for a reason. Actually, what does this guy do? So... Okay, he literally does just maintain your records. That's nice. Again, it's obviously something that's easy to track, but it's kind of nice. Cool. Can I stand on these? No, just shove them out of the way. Fine. Right, okay. So yeah, we'll try again and get back out there. And then I think actually, I'll probably do, because my aim was really just to have a little bit look at how it sort of introduces the game. You know, the first sort of, how long has it been now? It's been nearly an hour. The first hour of play and how it works. And I think, you know, you can see pretty easily why it's successful, because the basic controls, like the basic player controller, it's immediate, like straight away. Like everything is incredibly responsive, and even the things that are designed to not be responsive, the visuals or the audio is still very snappy and responsive. So you know that even if your input doesn't do something right away, you know that it's going to do something, which is, you know, right up there. And then beyond that, I think they're in this fortunate situation where they only really have to enforce teaching a couple of things. There's only a couple of things you really need to know to progress, which is obviously the jump and the double jump. Everything else can just be suggested. Aha, nice. I was waiting for something like that to happen. Hang on. Oh. Ah, whoops. Anyway, so yeah, you get all that stuff, and I think that's really good. And I was about to say you get taught about those things, and then hey, you know what? It subverted my expectation, so that's good too. Which also kind of goes on to what the other thing I want to say is, beyond the basics of like, can you move, can you jump? Moments like that are things that it wants. That's the kind of game this is. You know, you want to be surprised by it. You're not supposed to know how everything works. You're supposed to adapt on the fly, which I massively failed to do. But you know, that's kind of how it works. So I think, you know what? I think that's probably a good time to stop, because otherwise I'm just going to silently play and not offer as much sort of design commentary as I'd like to. But let's see if I can get my mouse cursor to escape. Come on, mouse cursor. There we go. Yeah, so hopefully at least some of that was insightful. I think this game does a really good job doing that onboarding, teaching how to play it from the start. It does it in handful of minutes, you know everything you need to know, and beyond that, I think it gives lots of hints about the stuff that you need to learn over time. I think being a game where obviously dying is expected and intentional, and the reset is quite small, even if the penalty is quite big, I think that gives them a lot more leeway. So like, you know, they can have things that in other games might seem cheap, like, you know, being killed by stuff like that. I think that's all part of the process. But yeah, no, I think it's really fun. I'll definitely keep playing it in my spare time, but hopefully, I said, like, hopefully at least some of that was kind of interesting to you. Do let me know if you'd like to see more, or you'd like to see us try some other games. I've got a list of other games like this that I need to try, because if I wasn't doing this in front of camera, I'd be doing it anyway. But anyway, yeah, I think that'll do. So we'll be back with the regular stream, the Behind the Siege, this time next week. So thanks very much for watching, everyone.